people think I get whatever I want because I'm a popular actress. But no, that is not true. Me Ankasano, Adiabia me Biano, me Shishimpe Papa no. And when I find it, I stick to it. My Shishimanya Bell Pack tissues. Bell Pack with T-roll. Bell Pack T-roll. Soft, but not weak. Strong, but not hard. It is smooth. Me Yusua, me Hotome. It's just perfect. Same as the kitchen towel. What's about what? What's me the papaye? What's me soaky? Echimu. Esa paper. One Bell Pack kitchen towel lasts longer and saves you money. It's time you switch to Bell Pack today. Say a pocket tissue, table napkin, T-roll, and a kitchen towel. Bell Pack is simply the best. It's just perfect.
Nothing feels so good like Bell Pack.
Welcome back. So, a couple of days ago, the National Teaching Council released the latest results of the resit exam for the 2022-2023 teacher licensure exams. Out of 7,000 students, 7,728 students who wrote the exam, or teachers who wrote this exam, 6,451, representing a whopping 83.5%, failed. Only 1,277 passed. How on earth did this happen? We'll be speaking to different people about this. Indeed, over the past couple of days, this media house has spoken to teacher trainees. We've spoken to the people who organize the exam. Tonight, we'll be speaking to important stakeholders. I'll speak to the Parent Teacher Association. I'll speak to the Ghana National Association of Teachers. And I'll also speak to the Africa Education Watch. Now, I will bring you some quick highlights of interviews we did to give a proper context for this program. So on Tuesday, Umaru Sanda Amadu spoke to the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana. He's in the person of Japhet Nana Kwame. So this is the trainee teachers, some of whose mates and seniors wrote this particular exam. Umaru Sanda called him on phone and asked how on earth they failed. Here are some quick excerpts of that interview to give us a better context.
Let's speak to Jefta Nana Kwame. He's president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana. Jefta, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much, sir.
So apparently, when you're trained in school and then you have to go through the final hurdle of getting a license, a lot of your colleagues I find it difficult. 6,000 out of 7,000 failed. What do you make of that?
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity. I would like to use this opportunity to send warm regards to your listeners, as well as the members of our association. So the data that we see is a reflection of the results of teachers who have gone to write the NTC exams, the license exams. And that is not from the general cohorts of students. That's those who have failed for the number of times they've written and they registered for recit. That is the data we find now. And what it means is that it's either the person didn't get a chance to register and is now registering, or probably rules and didn't pass, so has gotten the opportunity to write again. And that is the result that came.
Yes, but it means that the person is not fit to teach. That's what it means, isn't it? And even if the person has written it for the third time, that would still be a problem. It means the person may have finished training college 3 years or 4 years ago, and is simply failing to get into the system because they are not competent to be teachers. That should be an issue that we should be worried about. The NTC believes that this is a national security issue. You hold the same view?
Yes, sir. So in fact, it's very, very critical. Looking at the system that the person might be able to pass all papers that he or she will sit for in the college of education, having completed the number of credits that was expected of him or her, then going to sit for an NTC exam just to warrant you a license to be able to get to the classroom to teach. And it comes out this way. It's very critical. and worrying as well. However, I have always wanted to also make the people out there understand very well that it's not that, let's say, a particular year group has gone to write it and this is the data we are getting. It's just those who have failed are continuing to fail. That is what I can say.
Now, where should we put the blame? Is it that they are not properly taught in the classroom, or they cheated their way out of the school and are not able to cheat at these NTC exams? Because, like you explained, if the person did so well in school and finished, I mean, the license exam should not be any problem, unless the questions at the exams are different from what you are taught in school. And again, I've just heard from the NTC that they are very simple questions in numeracy and literacy.
Yes, sir. So, it's like I mentioned earlier, I may not be able to state the exact reason that is given as this result, probably for they not being taught well, or they found their way out in the classroom as well as the examination hall in order to be passed, but come here to face the reality and come out with this result. However, an engagement we have always had with our people and discussing the challenges they do face and what we think might have caused some of these results will be pertaining to, let me say, the weak academic level of those people. But then, as much as they've been able to press harder and harder to pass a number of exams or papers, we should expect that they do same with license exams and do pass. But it is where we also call on an intensive assessment for us all to ascertain the fact in this that someone has been able to pass a number of exams in the college but is not able to pass for an NTC exam. A part of the blame, to me, is we believe can also be on the students themselves in such a way that they're not able to redeem themselves or defend the good grades they've had in the College of Education. Another way, one may also think logically that why are you not giving them the result? It's a question that has arrived since the data popped up through the engagements I've had with my people. Because once I get to see my results, then it testifies whether or not it's a true reflection of the performance or the inputs I made at the examination hall.
Have you written yours already?
Not yet, please. I'm a level 400 student.
How do you feel going into these exams, considering that the history doesn't look that good?
Well, it's a mixed feeling, a feeling that I believe I can be able to do it. However, I should also think of someone who's also a colleague, and that's why people are not able to answer. It may be that others on my side too may not be able to also answer, but we keep informing them and then sensitizing them through the workshops that are being organized by NTC to make sure that at least they will be able to have a pass mark.
So welcome back. So that was Japhet Nana Kwame speaking to Omar Sanda on Tuesday. Tonight we're making an inquest into the serious failure. 83% of the candidates fail. Now I'm going to go to Kofi Asare, Africa Education Board. They've done so much work. I think we haven't even finished discussing their report on basic education, and then this one has come. So I don't even know where I'm standing. Kofi, thank you again for your work. Thanks for joining us on the show. I just wanted to check. You were quoted as having said, you told Sanda on Tuesday that it's actually a good omen that we had this number of failures. Can you explain yourself? How can this be good?
Okay. Good evening, Bernard, and your audience. I think we must first put this particular examination into context. One, this is not an examination of teachers. Teachers were not the ones being examined. This is an examination for prospective teachers, people aspiring to be teachers. So the impression shouldn't be created within the general public that teachers are failing. No, they are not yet teachers. And so teachers are not failing. Two, the essence of this examination is to ensure that the best of our human resource find themselves in our classrooms, so that given the necessary investment, motivation, resourcing by our government, we should be able to achieve quality learning outcomes in the classroom. And that is why the teacher license examination is one of the best policies ever implemented in the tertiary sector. But you see, Bernard, the third issue you must appreciate is that this cohort is a cohort of recipients. All the students who sat for the examination are first, second, third time recipients. About 60% are first time recipients. And then the remaining 40%, that's about 43%, is 57, 43. The 43 are second and third time, recipient candidates. So it is not as though this is the regular one. So when you see the high levels of failure, you should appreciate that this is not the regular one where you have many of them come for the quality medication and first-time writers. Many of them will pass. We've seen up to 70% pass in licensure examination for first-timers. So it gives you an idea that reciters will always have lower pass rates. And so these three dimensions are necessary in discussing the issue. The last is that, you see, I am looking at literacy. Okay, they are being examined in 3 areas, but I want to focus on literacy. Because if you can't speak English, you can't teach maths. And if you can't speak English, you can't teach English and any other subject too. And so when the failure rate in literacy is the highest, 87%, that for me is serious. And I have been reviewing some of the scripts since yesterday. And if you have prospective teachers or candidates who cannot spell organizer, you spell organizer and then it ends with ZA instead of ZER. If you cannot spell basic words, you cannot address a letter to the Minister of Education. You cannot address it. You cannot write a letter to the Ministry of Education, the Minister of Education. Then it beats my imagination in the first place how you manage to pass your first degree or complete the University of Cape Coast or University of Education, because these are graduates and diplomas. For the University of Cape Coast, out of the total number of candidates presented, 82% failed. And for the University of Education, 83% failed. And so you see, I am asking the question from that angle. If you have passed through the University of Cape Coast and University of Education and gone through all the publication skills and all the subjects and completed as a diplomate or as a graduate, and up to 80% of those that were presented by these two universities could not pass literacy, then the question you should be asking should rather be at the university level. Okay, we should be reviewing their performance at the university level and further, because what I am seeing are basic grammar and spellings.
Wow.
Stringing together a sentence is not an issue of deficits in our academic system at the tertiary level. Neither is it deficits in the academic system at the secondary level. It is a basic level issue. It's a foundational level issue. But I only said that perhaps we need to find out from the universities first, because they are presumed to have gone through that university, written English, and passed. So we need to find out whether this is the English they really wrote at UEW or ECC. That's why I mentioned the necessarities. But the problem being fixed is squarely a foundational issue, a foundational learning issue. It's a literacy issue that is dealt with between primary 1 and primary 6.
Kofi, I have seen some of the scripts, and I'm not sure if it's the same thing you have, where they are asked to write an essay of 200 words on the topic below. Virtual or online teaching and learning has come to stay. Describe 3 challenges you encountered in using virtual or online mode of teaching and learning in your institution. I just want to check whether this script and topic is similar to what you have.
Yeah. I have that one too. I have many, including that one.
Wow. So the answers I see are written by possibly university graduates?
Yes. Everybody who sits for this examination should have completed university, either diploma or first degree.
So this is not for people who have done teacher training after SSS?
our teacher training institutions are now degree awarding institutions. And so whether it's College of Education or university, you should be a diplomate or a first degree holder.
So these are university graduates?
Yes. So these are UCC, University of Education. Majority of them, about 80% of them, 1,900 of them, 2,400 of them are from UCC, graduates. 2,226 from University of Education. And then all the College of Education, we have 1,166. So these are the bulk of them. So the bulk of them are from the two universities. About 90% or about 80% are from the University of Cape Coast and the University of Education. And then 1,100 from the College of Education.
Would it be ethical for me to read some of the scripts on air? Because I'm completely scandalized. I actually thought these were pre-tertiary people. This is serious because some of the scripts I've seen, even the way they address the letter doesn't make sense. One of them wrote as if he was writing a debate speech. Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, accurate timekeepers. I mean, I can't believe this. And even the handwriting. So your point is that if these are university graduates, then we have a bigger problem than just teachers. This is actually a damning verdict on our tertiary educational system.
Yeah, but so that's why I think that we must engage that fact, because all of them are supposed to be graduates from the tertiary level. But again, you see, Bernard, it is important for us to realize that examination malpractice is also creeping into this enterprise. When you have people reciting once, twice, thrice, people want to find ways of beating the system just to get employment, even though they know that they are not, for want of a better word, good enough, to teach. And so we realized that there were 15 cases of examination malpractices that came to the notice of the National Teaching Council. And the dimension of malpractice was the same as has been happening under WASI, where candidates were smuggling foreign materials through their phones, and then impersonation. About 10 of them were cases of impersonation, people writing for others. When you begin to see such things happening, we should be happy that the NTC has arrested these ones and then, have sanctioned them accordingly. But it should give you an idea about how desperate people are just to pass through and get employment, even though they know that genuinely, they don't have what it takes, to go and teach. So we must be mindful we should be happy about all these measures in place, because it is in our interest for the right people to find their way into our classrooms. And don't forget, as I keep saying, this is a group of first, second, and third time reciters. I am told that a few number have even done more than 3 receipts, and they are part of this group. But you see, Bernard, I think that moving forward, we should begin to put a cap on the number of receipts one can do. You understand? Because it is not as though we don't have teachers, and we are looking for teachers, and we are actually grooming people to the level of teaching. No, we have people who are even home with their licenses who haven't been engaged yet. So I think that for courses that are generic and foundational, let me put it that way, like literacy, we shouldn't allow anyone to recite more than 3 times. If you write the first one and you don't pass, you recite 1, recite 2. After your last recite, you can't write any lines again, because you can't learn English at a tertiary level. English is not learned at that level. So if you don't have the foundations right, you can. Other than that, people will be, finding innovative ways of passing, in order to get to the classroom. But you and I know that English is not one of those things we learn at post-tertiary level. Maybe you can enhance your maths, but not English. And so we probably need to think about putting a cap on the number of receipts that one can do, especially in literacy. 3 should be enough. After the first examination, 1, 2, 3 receipts. If you don't pass your English, that's it.
Kofi, stay on. I'll come back to you. This is fascinating stuff. We're talking to stakeholders in education about the very, very terrible results that the recent candidates, 7,000 of them scored in the National Teacher Licensure exam. We've spoken already to Irene Sam of the Council of PTA. We are talking to Kofi Asari. When you come back, I will continue with Kofi, but I also have Thomas Musa. He's the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. He's joining us for some further perspectives on this matter. Stay with us.
Finally, anyone can become a household.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You Go Flip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand a chance of winning a house or cash or consolidated prizes, such as savings towards a house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Flip it or own it. You Go Flip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
Pepsodent introduces charcoal and lemon essence. A unique combination of natural essences whitens teeth naturally for you and family because every smile matters. New Pepsodent Herbal. Introducing a unique combination of herbal extracts in an antibacterial toothpaste for strong teeth and healthy gums that protects your family and you. Every smile matters.
Welcome back. The point of view tonight is conducting an inquest into the massive failure of prospective teachers. 7,000 of them wrote the teacher licensure exam. Again, this was a reset. 7,728. 1,277 passed. 6,451 failed. These candidates are predominantly university graduates from UCC and UEW, and also the College of Education, which are degree awarding institutions. We have Kofi Asare on the show. I'm going to talk to Thomas Musa on this as well. Mr. Musa, thanks for joining us. Good evening.
Good evening, my brother Bernard, all the panelists, and to all your viewers. Good evening.
Thank you so much. When the government introduced the teacher licensure exam in 2018, did not support it?
I think we started as far back as the year 2000. When the Professor Namo's committee was put in place on also how we can meet the challenges of the millennium. And there were three key regulatory bodies that were recommended in that particular document that they came out with. One was NACSIA, we have the NACA, and the last one was the NTC, which came out of the teacher education. And so it was something that we supported because it was something that the whole Africa, particularly the African Union, was pushing forward, and Ghana as a country cannot be left out. So we supported it to bring about the perspective of the professionalization as recommended in the report of the committee that our own learned professor, together with the committee members, came out with. So we supported it.
When you look at the current results for the receipt, 83% failure, and the last year result, which is about 37% failure, what are your reactions that so many of these people fail? What are your thoughts on the level of failure that we see in these exams?
Well, it looks like your line wasn't clear, but if you were trying to compare the failure of this particular year, which is about 85%, to that of last year, that was about 37%. Good. My brother, is very, very, very disturbing. Disturbing in a sense that we are this particular result has come at a very bad time for us, because already we have signed to an international protocol of the Sustainable Development Goal, the goals, and specifically go for, he's saying that leave no one behind. How can we not leave anybody behind without their teachers? And also talking about the kind of investment that is going into this preparing these particular teachers. We cannot say that nothing went into it. Government spent thousands or millions of cedis in getting them prepared. Aside that particular issue, let us not forget that not too long ago, the World Bank Human Capital Index report, in fact, as published, that of the 2018 one was not too good, indicating that about 56% of our human capital index will go waste if nothing is done. In fact, that of the 2020 was a little bit, we did well, but it was nothing wrong to write home about, that we could say that we can give ourselves some pat on the back. So, given these particular challenges, I don't think that we can say that we are doing well regarding the issues that I have just mentioned. But specifically to answer this particular question, the results that have just come out. You see, my brother, there are issues that we all need to ask ourselves. Where are we not getting it right? Or what are the challenges? Is it that the entry requirement that we are not getting it right in terms of attracting the quality and the quantity of the kind of people we need? Is it that we are not getting it right? The second thing we need to ask what about the training institutions? Because I have a difficulty that somebody can go to the University of Cape Coast for 2-3 years and somebody to come and tell me that at the end of the day, this is what the person wrote at NTC. Then I ask myself, did the person pass the exam at UCC? Did the person pass the exam at UEW? Some questions that we need. Is it all by miracle? Or the person didn't go there at all? Or the person went to the market to buy the certificate? These are questions that we all need to ask. But you see, as we are discussing this particular thing, the reason why this particular issue is disturbing is that normally when we are talking about teacher preparation, any teacher that is going to the school, the teacher goes there with 3 main things. We are talking about, so if you look at the licensure exam, it's our 3 main areas. We're talking about the national teacher standards, we're talking about the literacy and the numeracy. Now, but the whole teaching, the teaching profession, when you are going to the school, you go to the school with 3 main things. You go there with the mastery of content, or exactly of what you are going to teach. You must have mastery of it. Number 2, you must have mastery of the curriculum that you are going to use. The curriculum that is like your guide or the map that is helping you, and normally it belongs to the state. Then the last one, you must have mastery of the pedagogy, the methodology you intend to use to help the students or the learners to appreciate what you are going to teach. When you go to the classroom also, there are 3 main things that you need to help the students to appreciate. The first one is what we call the cognitive aspect. The second one is the affective aspect. Then the last one is the psychomotor. When you're talking about the affective and the cognitive, you are talking about the ability to help the students to analyze, to think through, critical thinking, among other things. And the affective aspect, it is where you help the students to develop a positive feeling, values, and attitudes towards the things that you are teaching them. You see, and the last one is about the cognitive, so the psychomotor. The psychomotor is not only will the children keep the things in their head, and also develop positive feelings towards and values towards the things that you've taught them, and they should be able to apply it. And these 3 things work together. These 3 things work together. And so when we are talking about the challenges confronting or the issue of this particular mass failure, it is a national crisis, as I may describe it. It's a national crisis because we've been here before. And for us, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, we believe that it is about time we call for a national dialogue on this matter. It is not about that. We cannot leave it into the hands of National Teaching Council alone. The National Teaching Council is a regulatory body. And we have GTEC also, which is a regulatory body. All the institutions that are preparing the teachers, they come under the umbrella of GTEC. not NTC. So the question is, GTEC, what really went wrong? Because these are products from the institution that you are regulating. So what really went wrong? And therefore, there is a need for a national dialogue on this particular matter. And then GTEC should be able to help us call all the institutions, because all these institutions are tertiary institutions. So we cannot leave this matter into the hands of NTC alone. No, I don't think so. And the Ghana National Association, we don't think so. We believe that there is a need for national dialogue. We cannot be investing money into these numbers, then at the end of the day, they go and we don't get them out. As we speak now, they can't teach.
Do you think that, Mr. Musa, to the extent that the licensure exam started in 2018, which means it's only 5 years old, don't you think it's fair to say all teachers need to be given a basic test so we even know whether some bad nuts have already entered the system? Because it's very possible that if we didn't have this licensure exam, a lot of these people would actually be teaching in our classrooms, right? So is it fair to suggest that maybe we need to have a system of retesting all teachers on the basis of these results?
No. You see, I am a teacher by profession. I started teaching as far back as 1989. That is what I am explaining. Pedagogy, mastery of pedagogy, mastery of content, and mastery of the curriculum, you don't get it within 2 hours. You don't get it within 2 hours. It will take you no less than 3 years, because then you become a master of it. So that any topic you pick, you know how to go about it. So at the end of the day, you affect the affective, psychomotor, and then the cognitive aspect of the child. Holistically, you don't affect one to leave the other. No. And that is what I'm saying, that in the 3 years that they went to UCC, what really happened? What really happened at UCC? The 3 years that they went to Winneba, what really happened there? You need to find out. Let's not push these things under the carpet and say that business as usual, we can move on. I've heard people say that we should organize some remedial classes for those who have failed. See how best. I have no difficulty with that, all those ones. But my issue is this. You go to the school, you go to the training colleges, you go to the universities to be trained to become a professional. And we are saying that when you are being trained, you are trained to gain mastery over content, gain mastery over methodology, and then gain mastery over the curriculum. So for the 3 years, what were they doing? So if NTC is telling us that these people have not gained mastery of the things, then we need to go back to the drawing board. Call all the stakeholders, or like I've said, all the institutions under GTEC. We need to look at that and see what we can do. At the end of the day, I have heard people say that, why don't we make the test item or the writing of the licensure exam part of the training program? Fine. But the question is, will that solve the problem? Is that the solution? Is that the gap that we have identified? We believe that bringing all stakeholders together and identifying the gaps, we will be able to find a lasting solution to this particular problem. And we will not be here again. Come next year, we would have been able to solve the problem, even not all. I believe that about 60 to 70% would have been corrected. And we all can pat ourselves that we've done well.
All right, thank you. Stay on. I'll come back to you before we end. I want to go to Mr. Asare again. So Kofi, I just wanted to come back to the universities, because I think it was only last month that the UCC announced that they were the #1 university in Ghana or something, that they had won some award or something. To have 83% of their candidates fail this basic literacy. I mean, should the university itself not be having an inquest? Because this is absolutely embarrassing for University of UCC and UEW for that matter.
Yeah, I think for UCC, the issue for them is to take a closer look at the quality of graduates being churned out on their distance programs. If you do the statistics, about 60%, about 56% of the students were distance students. And another about 15 or so percent were sandwich students. But focusing on the distance students, if you have close to 60% of your distance students, going through this, then it means that you must begin to question the standards under the distance programs. We all know how the distance programs are administered. The universities have satellite, campuses across the country in various places where, teachers normally go, and then, prospective students go, and then teachers go, and then go through this training. There is a school of thought that the quality of teaching especially, and the standards in the distance learning program is not the same as that of the regular students. And that is why those who believe in that school of thought are also of the opinion that the requirements or the cutoff for the distance program is relaxed compared to the stringent cutoff for the regular student program. If that school of thought is something to go by, that's opposing with the results we are seeing, the fact that, majority of the students, majority are all distance students, then I think that the two universities must be asking some questions about the quality or the standards, in their distance education programs. As I'm saying, these are receipts, okay? These are receipts. And for receipts like this, you will not be getting the average 30% failure that has normally occasioned first-timers. But if you study the history of the licensure, you will realize that the highest pass rates are always from the colleges of education. The highest pass rates are always from the college of education. So when you have an examination like this, where very few were from college of education, and only 1,166 were from the colleges, compared to over about 5,000 from the universities, you will appreciate that, given the history of licensure, where the colleges score higher, pass at a higher rate than the university students, you will definitely realize that the failure should be higher.
But Kofi, why do the colleges do better? Is it the nature of the questions or the nature of their training? Because we thought UEW and UCC were also set up for education, so that they are not disadvantaged when it comes to things like pedagogy. So how come over the years the colleges do better than the universities?
I am not an educationist. Okay, I'm an education policy practitioner. But what I know is that the training at the College of Education is more intensive, more practical, and you do more practical courses than that of the university. And so, ordinarily, that is more professional. Let me put it that way. But they are built to be professionally, teacher training colleges. If you go to the university, you do many programs in year one, reduce them to year two, and then specialize in year three. But at the college level, it is mainly, you go straight and you are doing the professional ones. That is the impression we get, and that is why a group believes that we should move the thing to the faculty level, so that those in the universities will be conversant with some of the technical stuff that they only get to be exposed to after school when they are doing their off-campus, or maybe when they are preparing for the licensure. But I believe that the licensure examination in its current form is still good. The NTC has a plan to include your core subjects as part of the licensure, as part of the next licensure, which means that if you are a geography student, and by so saying a prospective geography teacher, you will write this literacy, the pedagogy, and then the numeracy, and then you will write geography in addition to that, so that the test will not only be in the generics or on the foundational issues and the professional instructional issues, but also in your thematic area of expertise. So I think the licensure examination can only get better. But as I keep saying, I have been following the licensure for a long time. I have been reviewing the questions every time they do them. But I can tell you that the average university student that passes with a pass, okay, should be able to pass the licensure examination without any sweat. It's not difficult.
We'll come back and wrap up with a few other points you've raised in the past. My guest for this segment, Kofi Asare, Africa Education Watch. We also have Thomas Musa, President of the National Association of Teachers. Still an inquest into the very, very disappointing results of the resit for teacher licensure exam. Stay with us.
It does get better anytime your favorite shop, Malcolm, says it's there for you and got you covered with all your daily need items. Continue shopping on products ranging from groceries, stationery, electronics, homeware, kitchenware, furniture, home decor, electrical, and many more at low prices. Terms and conditions apply. Malcolm, where Ghana shops.
Welcome back. Point of View tonight is making an inquest into the teacher licensure exams. If teachers who will be teaching our children are not qualifying, parents should be concerned. Irene Sam is joining us to express some quick thoughts on the matter. Madam, thanks for joining us on the Point of View.
Thank you very much.
So what was the initial reaction of the PRO or of the PTA Association when you heard that 83% of the teachers who sat for this resit exam failed?
Thank you very much. So as you rightly said, this is the National Council for Parent-Teacher Association. We are the governing institution that oversees the operations of all PTAs in Ghana, those for the pre-tertiary institutions. And as you rightly said, hearing the news about the results of the teacher licensure exams has been very, very, very appalling. We are not so much happy about the outcome.
And what do you make of the cause of this? When I spoke to the trainee teacher rep, he says this is a resit exam, so it's not like fresh teachers. And in fact, some background will help. For the 2022 exam, out of 120,000 students or teachers, 44,000 failed. So that's around 37%. So yes, in the main exam, 37% failed. And in this resit exam, 83% of the reciters have failed as well. Does this give you any comfort at all? Or is this still very worrying?
Well, I think this teacher licensure exams was introduced by this NPP government. And I think the idea was to license every teacher. You know, most professionals in Ghana now, they practice with a license. But our question is, a teacher who has been through training college for 4 years, writing end of semester examination, at the end of the day, they write the summative exams to conclude their 4-year examination. And then they are being asked to write a licensure exams. And these same teachers go there and then they fail. Now, the key issue here is what actually goes into this licensure exams. They have a course material that they look on for or that they study? Because you know the teacher trainee courses, it comes with its own relevant content. Reading from, every specialization or looking at the teacher's point of view. Now, if they have introduced this licensure exams, what actually is going into it? They have a course material that they have to study and go and write it. And I understand the areas included literacy, numeracy, and then professional, knowledge, which you call the pedagogy. Now, a teacher, this is a person who has gone through basic school, junior high school, senior high school, and then ended up in the training colleges, and then is being asked to write these licensure exams. We don't see any form of mass failure like this. We don't see any form of mass failure like this. So if there's a mass failure, it means that something is not being done well. Something is wrong somewhere. And that is where we all have to look at. And we as a council, we are interested in education because we are the largest stakeholder in education. Everything that bothers the teacher bothers on us. So the parents out there, we are looking at this, that these people who are failed, what happens to them? They have to go back and resit and do what? And wait till they pass before they are given postings. There is more to it than this. And that is what we are much more interested in. That we should come to the point of view of this and then see how far we can investigate this. Look at where the challenges is coming from. Is it that the teachers are not being taught well? Is it that, what are they acquiring at all? These are people who are going to teach our children in the pre-tertiary institutions, and they are failing their license exams. There should be something wrong somewhere, and we have to look at it. That is why, as a council, we always call for education or the GPS to look at education, basic education. What are we looking out for? Are we really implementing it well? Look at a new syllabus or a new curriculum which have been introduced. As we speak now, do they have the relevant course materials? Are the capitation grants forthcoming? School feeding? Wow, all these initiatives, are they really being manned well? Let's go back and look at our basic education. Does it mean these people did not pass their BECE or they didn't pass their WASI? And then before they go to the teacher training colleges? There are more to it than this. And we, as a council, are so much interested in looking at the way forward.
So who do you think has questions to answer? Is it the candidates themselves? Is it the National Teaching Council, the organizers? Is it the Ministry of Education who came up with a policy in 2018 for this license exam? Where is your greatest concern directed to?
Please, the concern is directed to anybody involved, any agency involved, the students themselves, the National Teaching Council, whoever is involved in this. We all must sit down and look at where the challenges is coming from. This is absolutely unacceptable. We as parents cannot accept this kind of mass failure. We can't accept it. There should be a challenge somewhere that we all of us must sit down and look at it and then nip it in the bud.
Thank you for talking to us, Madam Irene Sam. She is the PRO of the National PTA Association, the umbrella body of parents associations. By the way, how many members do you have? And do you cover both public and private schools? Just by way of information about the PTA. What kind of numbers are we looking at, and what scope of coverage are we looking at?
Really, we have members from the private and then the public. And as I said, we look at the operations of the PTAs in all the pre-tertiary institutions, from the basic to the senior high school level. So that covers our membership.
But I'm a parent, I'm not part. How do I join?
The only thing that qualifies you to join the association is that when you have a child in the school, anywhere your child enrolls in the school, it qualifies you to become one of us.
All right, thank you very much. We'll leave it here. That was Madam Irene Sam of the PTA Association. So she's the PRO of the Council of PTAs. Let me just take a final question to Thomas Musa. Thomas, there's been a general discussion that pre-tertiary education is struggling. So even though Free SHS has increased access, EduWatch, for example, showed us that there's a lot of challenges in basic education. Lots of schools under trees still. Many challenges. Textbooks are not in. From the position of NAT, what do you make of pre-tertiary education? Because these guys are tertiary people, but we can't just blame the universities for this quality. Obviously, the funnel they are coming through is a challenge. What is the NAT's view on the quality we are seeing, particularly at the basic level, into the secondary?
In fact, when you talk about basic education in Ghana now, it's a sad commentary one because the challenges are numerous. I think recently the CSOs together with the unions and other stakeholders came out with a blueprint which was even discussed on CTFM. So the challenges are many. As we speak now, the capitation grant has not been paid for over 2 years. Over 2 years, it has not been paid. And aside that one, you look at the kind of resources that the CSOs will need to go and do the supervision in those schools. It's not going. The grant that the GOG grant that must go to help the various street education offices to be running is also not going. So the question, the basic education, it's just a matter of time. It is just a matter. We have been talking about this particular thing. Look, we are saying that we are operating at the pre-tertiary education based upon postpaid, because the teachers themselves and the head teachers will have to go and look for money to come and run the schools. Then government come to pay later. So, assuming a head teacher goes to the school and decides that, look, I am not going to put in anything, I'll be watching until government brings some kind of resources. That will be the end. We have the challenges of textbooks. If you want to, all the issues that we've numbered them in the blueprint that came out. And we've been talking about this over and over and over again. And we believe that it is about time to get it done. And I've already mentioned the issue of the Sustainable Development Goal 4. We've mentioned Sustainable Development Goal 4, that leave no one behind. By the close of this year, we have 7 more years to go. Can we say that nobody will be left behind? Can we say that? And gradually, the budget for the education sector, particularly basic education, is consistently being reduced. How do we get there? And look, the statistics we have point to the fact that every year we expect at least 820,000 children to be born. Okay, and in 2019 we have about 620,000 children that were born. In 2021 there were about 721,000. The question is, how many schools have we built for these children? How many schools have we put in place? So our KG, we are not ready for them. The school feeding, we are not getting it right. Recently, there were challenges there, even the quality of the food and all that. We have challenges in all these areas. And I believe that together with the media, we need to mount a very consistent campaign to help these children. Because look, I have always said that these children, if they were to be adults or if they were to be university students, they would have been holding press conferences every day. They would have gone on demonstration. But because they are children, they cannot hold press conference, they cannot talk, they are only seen and they are not heard. And when words come to words, they only go into child labor. Is that what we want? I don't think so. We must look at it. Look, some of them are dying on the lake, getting them in life jacket. Why should within the inner cities you will not get a 12-year-old boy driving, but go on the lake. 12-year-old boy, fill the whole canoe together with his siblings. Is that what we want? We cannot get them the life jacket. All these challenges are there, and when they die, we say, may your soul rest in peace. No. We need to get it right.
Thank you.
For one.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas Musa. Kofi, just your final thoughts. It's been a lot of things. I think on the big issue you spoke about, the challenges with basic education, schools under trees. We haven't finished digesting this, then this is coming. I mean, as a CSO, do you even have hope at all that education in Ghana is going to see the light of day? Is there any reason for optimism? Because it's a lot of bad news back to back in the past few weeks.
I sum it this way, that until we review the free senior high school program and make it more cost efficient and free resources for basic, it will always be a trade-off. We have a free senior high school program that is modeled on the hypothesis that we can have free senior high school sacrificing basic. Every increase in cost to the free senior high school comes with a corresponding decline in expenditure to basic education. And so, obviously, we seem not to get it right that we can have free senior high school and free basic education run concurrently without sacrificing the latter. But unfortunately, we keep sacrificing free basic education to keep the free senior high school going buoyant and sometimes even extravagant. And so until our leaders appreciate that cost efficiency, spending efficiency is key in ensuring both systems run at the same time, we will continue to talk about resource deficit at the basic level. It will never change because there is always an opportunity cost for spending big in one subsector to the detriment of the other. But Bernard, let me quickly remind you that for those who wrote the examination, 1,400 were bachelor's to master's degree holders. 1,400 of them were bachelor's to master's degree holders. And out of that number, only 300 passed. It means that 1,100 of them who were graduates with bachelor's, postgraduate diploma, and master's degree failed. Thank you.
Wow. This is I don't know. Kofi, thank you. This is too bad. But at least it's good that they've been arrested. They were not allowed to enter the teaching field. So Thomas will be happy that they will have to find either a new job to do or they'll have to improve before they get into the teaching field. So it's a good thing.
They are all university graduates because these are recent candidates. The first batch of bachelor's holders from the colleges just started graduating this year. So the fact that these are recent means that these are recent candidates mean that they are all graduated from the universities, University of Cape Coast, University of Development Studies, and then the University of Education, not from the colleges.
Wow. Kofi Asare is the...
Bernard, please let me make some point of... When you introduce me as the president, please, I'm the general secretary.
Forgive me. You are the general secretary.
Thank you very much.
General secretary.
Thank you very much.
I like your flag. You look like a president. That's why I say you are president. You look like the president. Well done. So that was Thomas Musa. He's the general secretary of the National Association of Teachers, NAT. Kofi Asare, executive director of Africa Education Watch. Earlier on, we heard from Madame Irene Sam, PRO of the Council for PTA, and then we played a quick excerpt of an interview with Jepta Nana Kwame, who is the president of the TTAG. Look, we all have work to do to make Ghana do better. Thanks for watching the show. We'll be with you next time. Bye-bye.
The Point of View is brought to you by Bellpack. Bellpack, just perfect.